Imagine a world where a single click opens a door to something far bigger than you ever expected. The adult content industry, it's everywhere, isn't it? But have you ever stopped to think about what's really going on behind the scenes? Today, we're diving into the shocking truths hidden behind the glitz and glamour of this billion-dollar industry. Brace yourself, because what you're about to hear might completely change the way you see it. And welcome to Factline Videos once again. The adult content industry is massive. With over $100 billion in annual revenue, it's bigger than Hollywood, Netflix, and major sports combined. These are staggering numbers, numbers that show just how ingrained adult content has become in our daily lives. But behind the flashy numbers and entertainment lies a story that no one wants to talk about. This isn't just about morality. It's about the lives impacted, the addiction it creates, and the hidden dangers no one ever warns you about. For most people, adult content is seen as a private, harmless form of entertainment. But is it really? Or is it something much darker, something that reaches further into our society than we realize? Stick with me as we uncover the untold stories of creators, the effects on viewers, and how this industry quietly shapes our society. We're going to explore the unseen side of the adult content world, the hidden truths, the harsh realities, and the far-reaching consequences that have impacted millions, and many don't even know it. Part 1. The content creators. Let's start with the people at the heart of it. The creators. For many, getting into the adult industry seems like a way to make fast money and gain independence. But the reality is much darker than they ever anticipated. The industry might promise freedom and financial success, but many who enter it find themselves caught in a web of exploitation. Take Mia, for example. Mia was just 19 when she first decided to try her hand at adult content creation. Young, eager, and with a desire to make money quickly, she joined the industry thinking she could control her career. But soon, she found herself trapped. Contracts she didn't fully understand locked her into exploitative deals. She was pressured into doing things she wasn't comfortable with, all while being judged by the world outside. Her life, once full of potential, became a cycle of manipulation and emotional scars. Sadly, Mia's story is far from unique. In fact, research shows that a significant portion of performers face manipulation, unsafe working conditions, and emotional trauma that lasts long after they leave the industry. But even for those who manage to leave, the stigma follows them everywhere. They are labeled, judged, and isolated, making it hard for them to rebuild their lives. Studies reveal that performers often deal with PTSD, anxiety, and depression. It's not just about the work itself. It's about the isolation, the emotional toll, and the judgment they face from society. It's about a life lived under constant scrutiny, pressure, and fear. These are the real consequences that many face after they've stepped out of the spotlight. Some creators enter the industry willingly, with dreams of financial independence, but they soon realize they're stuck. Financial control, coercion, and fear keep many from walking away. It's like quicksand, easy to fall into, almost impossible to escape. The longer they stay, the more it becomes a cycle of dependence that's hard to break. And then there's the darker side, trafficking and exploitation. Vulnerable individuals are often lured in with promises of money or fame, only to find themselves trapped in a nightmare. This is the shocking truth about the adult content industry, how it's often linked to human trafficking, coercion, and manipulation. While some enter willingly, many are victims of predators who use their vulnerabilities against them. Part 2. The consumers. Now let's talk about the viewers. You may be surprised to know that over 70% of adult content traffic happens during work hours. And shockingly, the average age of first exposure to adult content is just 11 years old. Can you imagine? Children, still in the early stages of their development, being exposed to something that warps their view of intimacy and relationships. With free streaming platforms, adult content is more accessible than ever before. It's no longer something hidden behind paywalls or magazines. It's available with a simple search at the tip of your fingers, anytime, anywhere. But what's the real cost of this easy access? Every time someone watches adult content, their brain releases dopamine. That's the feel-good chemical. The feeling of pleasure, of instant gratification. But over time, this leads to desensitization. The brain gets used to the rush, and the same level of satisfaction becomes harder to achieve. It's like chasing a high that keeps getting harder to reach. As a result, many viewers find themselves searching for more extreme content, hoping to replicate the same emotional reaction. But the consequences go beyond just looking for more extreme material. Excessive consumption of adult content has been linked to a variety of real-world issues, from relationship struggles and emotional detachment to physical problems like erectile dysfunction. Let's not forget the mental toll. Many viewers report feelings of guilt, shame, and loneliness after consuming adult content. This guilt comes from a deep internal conflict. They know something isn't right, but the addiction is too strong to ignore. Over time, this can spiral into addiction, affecting every part of their lives. What started as a momentary indulgence can quickly grow into a destructive habit. Think about it. How many dreams have been abandoned? How many relationships destroyed? All because of a secret habit no one talks about? Relationships, intimacy, and mental health. These are just a few of the areas affected by the consumption of adult content. And the damage can be long-lasting, often affecting both the viewer and their loved ones. Part 3. The societal impact. The effects of the adult content industry don't stop with creators or consumers. They ripple out into society in ways most people don't realize. For example, there's a disturbing connection between the adult content industry and human trafficking. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, a huge amount of illegal content ends up on mainstream platforms. These platforms claim to monitor and remove it, but loopholes and weak regulations often let it slip through the cracks. Millions of individuals, including children, are exploited for profit in the shadows of this industry. While big platforms profit from the content, the true victims suffer in silence, with little hope of ever escaping the cycle of abuse. And then there's the way it shapes how we see the world. Unrealistic expectations about relationships, body image, and consent are everywhere. These distorted ideas don't just stay online. They creep into real-life relationships and attitudes. Think about the normalization of aggressive behavior, the objectification of people, and the erasure of boundaries. These ideas don't just hurt individuals, they harm society as a whole. Children growing up with distorted views of intimacy are less likely to develop healthy relationships. They're more likely to treat others as objects, to struggle with consent, and to view intimacy as a performance rather than a mutual, respectful experience. Part 4. The way forward. So, what can we do about all this? How do we start to fix such a massive problem? Can we even make a difference? The answer is yes. While this issue is complex, there are steps we can take to address it. First, we need education. Young people need to learn the truth about the adult content industry and understand the difference between reality and what they see on screen. Organizations like Fight the New Drug are doing amazing work to raise awareness and promote healthy views on relationships, intimacy, and self-respect. Education is key in preventing the next generation from falling into the same traps. Second, stricter regulations are essential. Governments and platforms must take responsibility for cracking down on illegal content, protecting creators' rights, and ensuring that vulnerable individuals are not exploited for profit. Platforms need to be held accountable for the content they host and the harm it causes. Solution. Communities can play a huge role too. Support groups and open conversations can help those struggling with addiction or shame to find a way out. And for creators, better protections and alternative career opportunities are crucial. We need to create pathways for those who want to leave the industry but feel trapped. Finally, we need more empathy. Instead of judging people involved in the industry, let's focus on understanding their struggles and helping them rebuild their lives. Everyone deserves a chance to heal, and it's up to us to provide the support and compassion they need. The rabbit hole of adult content is deeper and darker than most realize. But by shining a light on the issues, starting conversations, and supporting those affected, we can make a difference. We can create a world where healthier relationships, respect, and consent are at the center of our interactions, both online and offline. So, the next time you find yourself browsing, think twice. Question the reality that's being sold to you. And remember, the choice is yours. You have the power to change the narrative. Together, we can make a better world for everyone.